Hey guys, so I know it's really late since this happened. It's been, I think, about a week now since it happened, but Ralph Baer, the creator of the Magnavox Odyssey, uh, and which is the first video game console ever released in 1972, has passed away in his home in New Hampshire. And before I start saying anything, I just want to say I'm sort of making this video just to talk about it. I just want to because it's just I am really interested in the Odyssey. I almost got my hands on one a couple of years ago. So I don't expect this to get any views. Uh, I'm not even gonna put ads on it because when I talk about this kind of stuff, I don't put ads in my videos. But yeah, so I'm not gonna tell you exactly the entire life story of this guy, but basically what he did he was an engineer, and he basically was staring at a TV one day, and he thought, what can you do with a TV besides watch I Dream of Jeannie or whatever was on in the 60s? So he created this thing called the Little Brown Box. What it was a prototype of the Odyssey. He hooked it up at his work and played it with his friend, and his bosses got really mad at him. He also invented a light gun game, which is very beyond. It's just very, very beyond. Technically, when I heard about that, I was like, well, because for the late 60s, for someone to design something that quickly, it's very cool. Uh, and the Smithsonian is actually going to pick up the brown box, and it's going to be a permanent exhibit at the Smithsonian. When I was at the Smithsonian a couple years ago, I unfortunately couldn't find it. Um, Although I did see the prototype of the Mac, which is pretty cool, like the Apple Mac. Anyway, so he pitched it to all these places. He pitched it to every big electronics. I can't think of them off the top of my head. Then Magnavox comes along and says, okay. So what he wanted to do was he didn't really view it as let's make a huge profit. He wasn't really a businessman. He basically wanted to get it in as many homes as possible and reach this out so eventually it could be just become a well-known staple. He owned over 150 patents. He also created Simon, that little game, the red, green, blue, and yellow game you find at like toy stores and stuff. Um, Also GI Joes. He was the one who made GI Joes like more realistic, or as far as GI Joes go, how they're realistic. So he wanted to sell it for a measly $20. He wanted it to just get out there and wanted it because from GI Joes, Barbies, and all this other stuff he did, it was clear he didn't want this to be another electronic. Because electronics back in the 60s and 70s, I mean, what really did you have besides... Because Macs, or computers just in general, weren't a main thing. Nobody had just a personal computer with them in their own home. I mean, I have a laptop, and my dad has a laptop, my mom has a laptop, my brother has a laptop. Pretty much everyone I know has a computer of their own. I mean, everyone has a phone with them, but there wasn't any cell phones. Besides that, you had calculators. So, electronics weren't really there. You got TV, besides that, not really. So, people didn't really go towards it. Also, it was going to be sold for about $100. And inflation adjusted, that's over $500. People are complaining about the Xbox One being $500 now. And an Xbox One back then, with that price tag, could be, I can't think of it off the top of my head, well over $1,000 maybe. And so when you see it, like I said, the AVGN, he does like a cool review on it. He did a whole episode on it. And so it's very board game like. It has overlays, it has dice, cards, like literally board games inside it. It has all these things, football and all this other stuff, and basically it was just Pong. And so it went really virtually unknown. It sold about 300,000, which is very, very, very poor. Um, yeah, just very, very poor because the Xbox 360 has sold 70 million in a 7-year lifespan. This was on the market for 3 years and it sold 300,000. And on top of that, whenever they showed it in a TV, it was always on a Magnavox TV. So people were under the impression that if you wanted to use this thing, you'd have to have a Magnavox TV. And they would always stress you can do it with any TV. But it's people still didn't buy it. People still didn't just believe in it. And when they showed it off right before it was released, a man named Nolan Bushnell saw it. And you might know Nolan Bushnell as the founder of Atari and Chuck E. Cheese, but mostly Atari. And somebody who out there started Atari was a man named Steve Jobs. And we all know what Steve Jobs did. So, in a very weird, disconnected way, this man helped create Apple. He got an award from George Bush. I don't remember what it's called, back in 2005, 2006. I think it was something about like achievements in electronics. And so whenever people think of icons when it comes to gaming, they always think Miyamoto, and they think, I can't really think of anybody, Nolan Bushnell, and all these other people. And yes, they are, I do respect those people, but this is the guy who, when it comes to gaming as a whole, barely that many people know about him. And not really that many people know about the Odyssey. I've known about it for years. I know a lot of people that know about it, but when you think of it on a whole, not that many people know about it, which really stinks. Because here is a guy who, and he said this in interviews, that he always tries to stress that he was the one, because Nolan Bushnell, even though I like the guy, he would always be in front of the cameras. He'd just be like, well, I created Atari. And he would just be in the back, and it wasn't a very good situation. So, yeah. So what do you guys think about the Odyssey? Check out the AVGN review of it. Check out anything you can find. They're pretty pricey on eBay. They can go for upwards of over $200. Yeah. So, tell me what you guys think. I'll see you later. See ya.